Welcome to our fourth episode of Business Owners Speak Out. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Joanne Ericksen. Welcome, Miss Joanne.
Thank you. Hi, Lydia. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm excited to have you. We've known each other for quite a few years now, right?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
lost count.
Yeah, I think I've lost count too. Good thing, bad thing, I don't know, but glad to have you on. Joanne, you own the Ericksen Law Firm, so tell us a little bit about the Ericksen Law Firm. How did it come to be? What do you guys do?
Okay, well, we focus on business law and business litigation. So, what that means is that we do everything from starting your business with the LLC to contracts. Sometimes clients come to us because they've been sued. Ideally, we like to work with clients that haven't been sued yet because that's traumatic for them. And, we can deal with that for sure. But if we can help with the business owner by making sure they've got good contracts in place first, that's better for everybody. So that's what we kind of do in a nutshell. We do partnership agreements, operating agreements, things like that, as well as the litigation. And then to answer your question about how did the Ericksen Law Firm
Yeah.
start, it was really, I had been practicing law for about 6 or 7 years. I had worked with a lot of great attorneys and some great law firms, got great experience. I was in court all the time. But one thing that I kept seeing was as soon as the client got signed up, they ceased to be that important to the case, which you think the client is the case. But it got to be about the billables.
Sure.
Well, how much can we bill on this file? Not about what's the best resolution in this situation. And so I went out on my own in 2010. I was inspired by one of my colleagues who was my mentor when I was a paralegal. He was like, "You can go out on your own. You don't even need an office. You can use my conference room if you need it." His name is Tim Headley. And he said, "I would office from home, but my wife doesn't want me there all the time." He goes, "So since you don't have that problem, you can office from home at first
Yeah.
and then go from there." And it just started from there.
Awesome.
And it was not a dream of mine to have, hang my own shingle, as they say, but it's one of the best things I've ever done. I'm so
That's
glad
awesome.
that I went out on my own, and I practiced the law the way I want to practice.
That's awesome. So the main person you help is a business owner, but does it matter the size of the business?
It really doesn't. I've worked with solopreneurs, and so they have several different business interests, and it's just them. To the probably the largest client I have has about 100 employees,
Okay.
maybe 150, and I just help them with whatever they need. Some people need that help from the very beginning, and I grow with them, and that's always exciting. And then sometimes it's an established company, but like I said, they might have gotten sued and they're like, "I need somebody to get me out of this. Please help." And
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome. So everything, start to finish, if you have a business, basically they need to talk to you.
pretty
Or if they're
much.
thinking about starting a business, they need to talk to you.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because every now and then I get a really smart person that contacts me at the very beginning. "Hey, this is what I want to do. How do I set it up?" And it's always easier to do things right
Yeah.
on the front end rather than try to litigate it later on. And I
Yeah.
get it, I mean, when I started, it was on a shoestring budget. I get that perspective, but $1,000 now can save you tens of thousands of dollars later.
Yeah.
So I try to tell people that, and sometimes they listen to me, and then sometimes a few years later they're like, "I wish I would have listened to you,
Yeah.
because now I got sued because my contract stinks because I got it from LegalZoom."
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I
I'm here
did
to
it myself.
help.
I can do it myself. Why do I need you? Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and I get why people do that, but they don't know what it means. They don't
Right.
know the language. I mean, that's why lawyers go to law school for 3 years to basically learn another language.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
it definitely is not a language I speak very well, so, glad that you guys
Or do
exist.
you want to? Yeah.
Nor do I want to, that is very true. Give me a contract, I'm
Mhm.
like, "Do I really wanna read all of this?" No, but you
Yeah.
guys do, so,
Yeah.
awesome. So you've had the business for, I guess, 14 years now? Coming on 14 years?
Yeah. It'll be
Yeah.
14 years this April 29th.
Awesome. Well,
Who's
happy
counting?
early anniversary.
Thank you.
Um, so 14 years in your own business, plus much experience before that. So, what are some of the challenges that you faced along the way that others can learn from?
As far as just having my own business,
Yeah,
or
yeah, we'll go with
I
that.
think the challenge at first is you don't know what you don't know. Like I know how to practice law, but I didn't necessarily understand all of the nuances of accounting, and I didn't want to.
Hmm.
So I got a great accountant. So she handles that stuff. I trust her. I don't have to worry about that. And then the challenge I've been hearing from everybody in every industry for several years is employees. Um, you need to know what type of employee you need, not
Hmm.
just I need somebody to answer the phone. It's like what type of person is going to work well with me, or I can be difficult to work for.
You?
So
No.
yes, so I need to make sure I hire the right personality that isn't just going to roll, curl up and die on day one because I just said, hey, give me that. I
Right.
mean, I'm not mad. I'm just like, give me what I need.
Right.
So,
That's your disc behavior. I do see the Viking hat in the background. So Viking lawyer. I think that's one of your
right,
nicknames, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Cool to
kind
hear.
of came up. I don't know. One day I was thinking about, I need to have some sort of distinction other than the red hair, of course, right? So I'm half Irish and half Norwegian. Nobody wants to hire a drunk lawyer. Maybe after trial, you want to go and have a drink. But I thought Viking, yeah, that, and that it's really been a great marketing thing because sometimes people will forget my name, but they'll go, "Hey, Viking,"
Yeah.
or "I need a Viking," and so that's where it comes from. So we have all sorts of Viking stuff in the office: shields and swords and knives and all sorts of weapons of torture. It's very comforting.
Interesting. Yeah, it sounds like a very lovely place to be.
Yeah.
Um, awesome. Well, so okay, so you've had some business challenges. What about some advice? So maybe something you've done really well, or just advice in general that you'd like to give someone who's starting a business, who has a business, on running a business.
I would have two pieces of advice. I mean, obviously, I have a lot more, but the two big ones would be number one, get a good attorney to advise you on even basic things like a contract. Even if you just have a one pager invoice, there's some things I can help you with that will help your business, that will help you collect money and keep money and avoid litigation. And like I said earlier, that bit of money, that investment will save you tens of thousands in litigation later
Sure.
on.
Yeah.
And then the other one is to have a business coach. I
Oh.
remember, shameless plug for y'all, but not really, because I remember when I first heard about coaching, I'm like, oh, that seems ridiculous. And then I actually met with Doug Winnie and listened to what he had to say, and listened to what he had to say for several years. And like I said earlier, I'm good at law, but hiring processes, what I shared with you earlier that I learned, that was through coaching. Um, what to look for in a CPA, how to build a culture, all of those things. It's essential because most people are good at whatever they're doing, or maybe they're good at three or four things, but they're not good at the whole business, nor should they be,
Right.
unless you just want that to be your job the rest of your life where
Yep.
you're not, a business owner. That's the goal. So you can live a life, not just be at your desk slaving away like you were 20 years ago.
When you started, yeah. No, I mean that's a obviously both of those are amazing pieces of advice, and you hit the nail on the head. I say it all the time is people are so good at what they do, and so they think, "Oh,
Mhm.
I can do this on my own," but they forget that they never had a business education, and
Right.
it's just kind of like, "Oh, well, I should have probably learned that." And so that's what coaching can help do. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Definitely.
And one
Well,
of the other things I learned in coaching was, my initial reaction, well, I can do that. Well, no, let's do the math. At your hourly rate, does it make sense to stock the fridge. Yeah, I can do it, but is that, and then, did the math on if I hired somebody at whatever hourly rate, then that frees up 10 more hours at my hourly rate, then okay, it's a no brainer. But,
Yeah.
my lawyer brain didn't do that. But that's really part of my math in every decision I make now
Yeah.
because of that coaching. I
Yeah.
mean,
Math and
it's
delegation. Yeah, definitely.
yes, right.
So
And
many
well,
people.
and hiring the right person to delegate to.
Right. Yeah. Which is it is interesting now. I've heard that from a lot of clients and the new generation and my generation. It's interesting some of the things that I hear my
Well,
clients talk about with their team members.
well, and I've believed that up until fairly recently myself, but I've hired from 18 years old to 80 years old. And I can tell you that there are some 50-year-olds that are not motivated and don't want to show up, maybe not in equal proportion, um, than the 20 or 25-year-old. So I refuse to assign blame to a
Sure.
certain age group anymore. You just have to find the right people. They're out there,
Yeah.
and you have to find them. And then if you create that, and it starts with even the ad that you place to attract that person that's, oh, I want to work in that environment. Fast paced, type A female litigator. A lot of people will self eliminate right there
Yeah.
because, like, crap, I don't want to do that, which saves me some time. And then
Yeah.
you get people that, have a tough skin and can deal with that, or, whatever you need in your business.
Yeah. Definitely. Awesome. And so 14 years in, how do you stay motivated? How do you keep going?
Some days it's hard, I have to say, but the fastest way for me to motivate myself is when I remember why I started my own practice, which is to change people's perceptions of attorneys one case at a time.
Hmm.
And then you can change the world and you can change communities, whether it's the people that I work with and their families or my clients, and their businesses. I mean, if I can hold that in my head, it's super easy to stay motivated because I'm making a difference.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
sometimes I just get mired in, oh, this is a contract and who cares where the comma is. But
Right.
that's not what I do. I mean, you
Right.
have to really remember what a difference, whatever your work is, what a difference it does make.
Yeah, and I mean, I can definitely see how you are the deciding factor of whether, or business lawyers are the deciding factor of whether a business stays in business or not. Right? If
Yeah,
they don't have the right documents, that can easily put them out of business. And so you're
right,
there to help them, and they go out of business. Their employees have no income. Their employees' family has no income. So yeah,
right.
you are making a huge difference by
Yeah.
helping business owners in that regard.
Sometimes it's overwhelming, like, oh, wow, I didn't know I was that important. But but
You
I
are.
like to think of it, as, you make a difference where you can. And, am I going to change the entire world? No. But I'm going to change the people that come across my way. And there
Mhm.
might be effects to that I'll never know, but that's okay too.
Yeah. Awesome. What are some of the accomplishments you've had in the 14 years? Anything come to mind of awards, accomplishments, recognitions? Time to
I have,
brag.
yeah, okay, I'll brag a little bit. I have been named one of Houston's best business attorneys several years in a row by Houstonian Magazine.
Wow. Awesome.
I also, several years ago, I was named a rising star. I think I'm probably been around too long to be a rising star anymore. I might be a falling comet. I don't know.
You're
But that
just
was,
a star, Joanne. You're just
yeah,
a star.
but that was by Texas Monthly Magazine. So that was a big deal.
Yeah.
That's your peers nominate you for that. And to this
Oh,
day, I have no idea who nominated for me. Nobody would admit.
really?
Right. Because I was like, who did
Wow.
this? Thank you. Thank you. And nobody would say that they did it.
Interesting. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. And
It's a huge
then
testament.
one of my accomplishments, I think, from a case was this was a few years ago where I took on the government of Iran. And there was a judgment against them. And it was one of those cases of like, I didn't know what I didn't know. So of course I can do it. I'm the Viking lawyer. So, um, and other people that like from big firms are like, you did what? How did you pull
Yeah.
that off? And I got a judgment against them. So,
Wow.
and people were like, how did you even do that? And I'm like, it, I'm like, I just followed the rules
Yeah.
and I got it done. And it's like that perfect example of if you believe you can, or sometimes ignorance is bliss, amazing things can happen. So that's
Yeah.
kind of, sometimes people are like, oh, you just do mom and pop stuff, which is true. And that's great too. But I got a judgment against the government of Iran.
That's interesting. I did not know that. That's a
Yeah.
crazy little story. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, I kind of don't talk about it a whole lot because I don't want them to come after me. But it's been several years and I'm still alive. So I think
Yeah.
I'm all
Yeah.
right.
All right. Well, we'll make sure and post this everywhere around the world so
But
they can see it.
now for sure
It's
they're
out.
looking
Yeah. I
about
mean,
it.
because we have so many listeners. So,
Yeah. Right.
awesome. So, Joanne, I know you and I like to go out and drink wine every once in a while and hang out, but any other hobbies that you have? Any other hobbies or
Yeah.
fun things you like to do?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge theater buff. I
Oh,
love going to the theater. I have season tickets to the Alley and Stages, and there's a little theater by my house called Theater Southwest. Sometimes I'm going to the theater 2 or 3 times a week,
oh
which is
wow.
a little too much.
It's a lot.
But man, I love it. It's,
That's
and
awesome.
it's amazing how you can go to this small little theater that they're on a shoestring budget and some of the best performances I've ever seen because you're like 10 feet away from somebody and you see the real tears shining in their eyes in the particular scene of their father dying. And it sweeps you away. You get experiences of other people, other cultures for the price of a theater ticket and
That's
air
awesome.
conditioned comfort, which
Yeah.
is a big deal for my pale um, personality.
Do you have a favorite play or performance that you've seen?
One of my favorites is the Elephant Man at the Alley, and it was just the plain stage with one shining spotlight on the character, the young actor that transformed himself with no special effects. You hear the voiceover of John Merrick's story, and you see the guy just starts, moving his shoulder and his body, and like he's there basically in a loincloth. This young, nice looking man, healthy man. Well, I'll keep it at that. And then he just contorts his body and his face, and he turns into the Elephant Man right before your eyes with no special effects at all.
That is
And
awesome.
it was, you just are like, I can't believe this.
That is really cool. Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
that's a big shout out to the Alley Theater, and all the theaters you said in Houston
yeah.
because we
There's
obviously want to
theater.
support.
Yeah, Houston has such fantastic theater and symphony and opera.
Yeah.
I saw a production of Madame Butterfly a couple years ago. Amazing production that, people that don't even like opera, I'll tell them this particular scene and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to go.
I've never
Um,
been to opera. Got to add
yeah,
that to my list for sure.
yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that we haven't talked about today that you want to throw out there for people to know? How do they get a hold of you? How do they connect with you?
They can call us at 713-970-1613, or they can email me at Joanne, Joanne, at the Ericksen Law Firm. And Ericksen is spelled the Viking way, Ericksen, lawfirm.com. That's usually the best way to get a hold of me. But if you call or email, we are happy to consult with you. We offer a free 30-minute consultation or a document review.
Awesome.
In that time, we can often help, identify what the issue is and tell you what the next steps are, and probably give you an estimate of what that would be in case you're like, yikes, I don't have that amount of money laying around, but let me start saving some money or
Sure.
whatever. I mean, sometimes litigation, you don't have a choice, but we're
Yeah.
very transparent about that from the very beginning. So what you're getting into. You know how long it's going to take. You know how expensive it's going to be. I think that's what sets us apart from most of lawyers in town
Yeah, for sure. I
or in
mean,
the world.
yeah, for sure. I think that's a huge set, and the fact that you give 30 minutes of, your time to
Right.
consult with people, that's a huge differentiator as well, that shows and proves that you're not just saying you care, you truly care.
Yeah, because I really want people to understand. I get calls on a pretty regular basis. Something happened. They're mad. This person owes me $50,000. And I'm like, that's terrible. And $50,000 is real money. But let me tell you what that litigation process is. It's going to be, you don't go to trial right away. And you're lucky if you go in about 3 years. And
Oof.
here's what's going to happen. Do you want to talk to me for the next 3 years and pay for it? Or do you want to learn your lesson? And there's no wrong answer. It's whatever, but the client needs to understand how long it takes, how expensive it is. It's going to mess up, your business. It's going to distract you from your business or your family. And those are pretty valuable things. So sometimes
Yep.
you just have to go, all right, I'm going to, read the contract next time or get a contract next time
Yeah.
and make sure that doesn't happen again. And I think that's a win.
Yeah.
It's not about, yay, I signed up, 50 cases that just because I could. That's, I feel good when I talk somebody out of pursuing something because I
Yeah.
think their life will be better because of it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I would say 99.5% of business owners have no idea that that's what would happen if,
Yeah,
and that they don't know that that's a 3-year process or whatever it is. So,
right.
yeah,
Yeah. A lot of lawyers will just take the retainer and not tell you
it's crazy.
any of that stuff. And I think that's important to know.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little
You
bit.
know,
Just
because
a little
one,
bit.
yeah, because if you get in litigation, you're kind of stuck in it. If you're deciding to sue, then it kind of becomes a runaway train fairly quickly. So
Yeah.
you want to be able to control the train and know how much the train costs before you get on.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joanne, for joining us today. Any last minute comments
I don't
about how
think
you
so.
can connect with you? So basically,
No,
business owners call Joanne.
right?
That's
Or
it.
I do represent individuals as
Okay.
well. A lot of times it's in the situation where somebody's been terminated.
Mm,
It's usually more on the executive level, but not necessarily. But if they need help negotiating that severance package, I think, with the exception of one case, I've been able to get more money for them on that. But sometimes there's a situation where somebody's living paycheck to paycheck, and they don't have the money to negotiate that, which
gotcha.
is unfortunate. But if they've got a couple $1,000s laying around to get them $10,000 or $20,000 more, it can be a good deal.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Joanne. And
Thank
we
you,
will
Lydia.
put all this up and we'll tag you in it. And we look forward to chatting with you again.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.